Well, our next storm system is upon us. It's not going to be a huge one, but it'll be enough, and it's going to help replenish some of the snow that we melt over the last couple of days. Notice we do have a couple areas that are dotted there with the potential of more than 7 inches, but for a lot of us, it'll be tough to get there. It's just a potential based on where some of the heavier bands line up, some lake effect, things like that. All things I'm going to talk about here right now. So here's how things look starting off on your Saturday. This is 8 o'clock in the morning. The pink indicates just a little tiny bit of freezing drizzle possible. Otherwise, we're going to be watching the advance of the snow coming across the western UP, over Lake Michigan, and eventually into the west side of the state. By 10 o'clock, a lot of that snow is falling on the west side of lower Michigan, pretty much all across the upper peninsula. And then we do have the small possibility for a little more freezing drizzle for northern lower before we switch things over. Here's a look at noon. Notice we have light to moderate snow with some heavier bands mixed on through, maybe even some rain a little bit further down to the south. Then as we go throughout the day, that is going to gradually continue to overspread the area. We'll have that heavier snow indicated by the kind of lighter blue into the gray areas there. So now it could potentially include Grand Rapids over towards Detroit and some very heavy bands coming off Lake Superior. This is at 6 p.m. and your Saturday. We're starting to see those heavier localized bands take effect. Otherwise, in between, we'll just have light snowfall coming on down. But it's those heavier bands that are really proving difficult to forecast because they could line up and form just about anywhere. Some models are kind of, having them over the same areas and just using my meteorological knowledge where the deformation bands set up, things like that. Pretty good idea, but again, things can shift around maybe by a whole county or two. So it's just something that we'll have to expect and watch out for as we go into the day Saturday. Overnight into Sunday morning, the wraparound snow continues. This is 6 o'clock in the morning on your Sunday. Could still have it coming down at a pretty good clip into the thumb, Bay City and southwest Michigan. And then look how fast it wraps up. Your Sunday is pretty much going to be a non issue after that. Just cold and a little bit on the windy side. Now, because of the snow and the wind coming on through, we do have winter weather advisories for northern lower and an area just north of Grand Rapids that includes Newaygo from Ludington down through Muskegon as well. These are going to be in effect through your Saturday night into early Sunday morning, and they're just winter weather advisories, but it's enough to make sure that we take it slow on the roads and just be a little bit extra cautious. Now, here's a look at the temperatures. This is starting off Saturday morning at 8 a.m. We have those numbers generally about freezing down to the south and some 20s off to the north. Over the next couple of hours, we do hover in those 30s. So the further south you go, the more of a heavier, wetter snow it'll be initially, and then we'll start to cool things off later on. But notice through most of your Saturday, we are going to be hovering in the middle 30s to the south and some 20s a little further off to the north. Once we go later on into the evening, though, that's when some colder air starts to settle in. So we dip down into the 20s. No big deal, very normal for this time of the year, if not actually a little bit still on the warmer side. But now into Sunday itself, that's where we hang out in the 20s. We'll have some strong winds out there, and those wind chills are going to be even colder. Take a look at some of the wind chills down into the single digits throughout the day. So make sure you bundle up, and some of that snow is definitely going to be blowing around, and roads will be refreezing.